First up, Hode.
Hi, Zach. How you doing?
Good. How you doing?
Good. I know sometimes after you look at game film, things don't seem as good or as bad as they do in live time. What were your main takeaways from the offense? And the second question, did you feel the passing game made some improvement from the USC contest?
I thought the pass game improved a little bit. Yeah. Looking at the film, there's just, the big picture is just, the discipline and just trying to get that operation. And we got some guys off the line of scrimmage. We had some things that we just need to clean up and just the focus and the attention to detail in practices and from coaches and players and everybody. It's an all around offensive thing. We took some points off the board. Should have been multiple touchdowns there that could have helped us in that game and come out with a W. But I thought for the most part, looking at it as an overall offense, minus the penalties, which was a big thing, there were some good things, and I thought the guys played hard. I thought they played physical. I thought they care about each other. They care about the game of football, and we moved the ball well at times. I don't think there were any 3 and outs. I think we put up good yards. We just didn't finish. We didn't finish in drives, and obviously the fumble on the one was a tough one. Pick in the red zone was a tough one. Called back touchdown, on the deep one. Those were some big, factors in the game.
Chris.
Zach, when you think about just how aggressive UCLA is, how did you guys handle the pass protection / needing to get the ball out hot when you had that situation?
You take 5 sacks, and that's a good question. We're in a lot of third and longs. We actually did decently on third downs. Being over 50% is always good. We anytime the quarterback gets hit, it's too many. It doesn't matter whether it's one or whatever we were. You're always looking to improve the communication. UCLA is a high pressure defense, like way more man than we expected going into that game, and they got us a couple times. And we knew at times they were going to, and hopefully we're going to be able to get the ball out quickly. It's just a combination of both, really.
Trevor.
Zach, you touched on it a little bit early on in that game. You got some man situations on the outside that you were trying to take advantage of, but couldn't hit on some of those big plays. Can you talk about those chances and where you and your group are at with that capability?
Yeah, I've been in a lot of those games, where you hit a few of those shots and it turns the tables a little bit. You got some momentum, and I've been in those games where you got, you got shot opportunities at those deep balls and you don't hit them. And then it becomes a struggle because now you're in long, you're behind the chains, you're in, long, second longs, third longs. And it becomes, much more difficult, to move the ball. So that's a big factor in the game, whether we can, extend play, extend those, deep balls and convert on some of those and hit some more explosive plays, changes the game.
Michael.
Yeah, Coach, when you were looking at the film too, I was talking with Coach Edwards yesterday. It didn't seem like the running backs really seemed like they had a month off. Seemed like they were running hard. What were your thoughts just from watching the film and the running backs and how they performed against UCLA?
They've been really consistent, very consistent. And both of them are very tough backs. Daniel Nagata's got, getting in there too. And so we feel really good about our running back core right now, and the ability to break tackles, stay on their feet, keep their balance. I'm sure the yards after contact is pretty high, and it's fun to watch those guys run, and they're right now the most consistent part of this offense.
Jeff.
Zach, it's Jaden's still a young quarterback. How are you trying to help him through his role in all of this really weird, unusual year? And how do you think he's handled, that responsibility? It's a lot on a quarterback this year.
It's a tough year because you don't really get any of that flow. You don't really get any of that momentum. You can't really get into a groove, playing one game and then playing a month later. Not having practices in between this. So it's hard. He's in a tough position. He's learning a new offense and new coordinator and trying to get on the same page. Really, what we're trying to do right now is just focus on the day to day and the preparation, and taking notes and talking through stuff, and just trying to get more and more on the same page. I think being on the field for that second game, I think we got better at that communication through the second game, and getting on the same page, and making some adjustments, talking through some things, in between series. I think went well, and so now we just got to score more points. We got to get in the end zone and finish drives. But from his standpoint and a quarterback standpoint, his development, it's just working through the process. Here's what's expected. Here's what the elite quarterbacks are doing from a day-to-day standpoint, and trying to put that all together.
Doug.
Zach, there was so much excitement around the freshman receivers, but last year Arizona State had a first-round draft pick in Brandon Ayuk and a very steady receiver in Kyle Williams. What is the transition like going from veteran, proven receivers to a group that's just trying to find their way at the college level?
You're going to have a little bit of that where you don't have an experienced group. They got to get the experience, and that's what we're doing. We're trying to, we're getting them some experience. They're seeing what works and what doesn't work, and here's how different defenses are playing us. Here's how we're trying to develop. But I think that whole group in the room is very hungry. They're hungry to help the team win. They're hungry to get out there and do well. And but the experience factor is, right now we don't have a ton of game experience. And so each game that we get, each practice that we get, we get more of that. And I know there's a lot of competition in that room, and they push each other. And I know that they're hungry for opportunities. And as we all are, we're hungry for more games, and can't wait to get out there again Friday.
Chris.
Zach, just UCLA had so many 7-man boxes, it seemed like, in situations where you should be throwing the ball, but then your run game is really working. Is that like, and the safeties are playing up, is that like a kind of a messes you up in your mind a little bit as to what maybe you should be doing and why and how?
Yeah, I complimented our O-line and running backs after that game, looking back, because we gained a decent amount of rushing yards and did some good things in the run game when their defense was all over us, and the safeties are up in the box, and that was tough sledding. And I think we have 160 some yards or something like that in the run game, and the backs were breaking tackles, and the O-line was physical, and the tight ends were being physical. And when you're not hitting some of those shots that you plan on hitting, you got to rely a little bit more on the run game. It was fun to see those guys actually get after it and make a decent amount of contribution into that. I mean, that second to last drive there, I think we ran it every down, and went all the way down there. So as a coordinator, you're trying to feel that out, through the game, and what you're hitting, what you're not, what's going to be successful at the end of the game, and you kind of hang your hat on that. But we've got to there's a lot of areas of this offense that we got to get better at, and we're striving hard this week, on a short week to get after it, push those guys, keep the morale. It's tough after you go two games, and now it's luckily we get to play the next one and dive right into it.
Oh,
Zach, I know you kind of alluded to it before. That's really kind of hard to see that improvement everybody wants to see from game 1 to game 2 when you got 3 weeks in between. But on that note, do you feel a different vibe this week just because you guys just played a game last Saturday? Did this Tuesday practice today feel a whole lot different than Tuesday practice last week, again, just because of the long layover?
Yeah, I think so. I think we're starting to get into a little bit of a groove, and the guys are excited about playing the team down south, and then we'll short week, so there's some urgency. I think everybody's got some urgency. It's the coaching staff, the players, the assistants. Everybody's. We got to put it together quick, and we got to go get a win. That's the main emphasis.
a few more questions for Coach. Michelle.
Hey, Coach, what strikes you most about the Arizona defense when you see them on film?
I think they play hard, and that's a tough group. You know, they do some good things. They've got some good players, you know, on the back end, and up front they're big. You know, they got a good sized D line. And they can create problems, you know, for a defense. You know, this week we're focused on our execution and our operation and just the details within what we're doing. And you know, obviously, you know, you're doing the whole scheme thing and stuff too, but our main focus is going to be on ourselves and just our execution.
Talia.
So this is your first year part of the ASU U of A rivalry. What are your thoughts going into the game from a rivalry standpoint?
I'm excited. You know, I'm excited to see the rivalry and get these, you know, two teams together and have some excitement from the fan base, you know, too. And even though we're not fans in the stands, it's always fun to get to your rivalry game, you know. And me being a new part of this staff and program, you know, you learn about it and you learn the history and you try to take it all in but then once you get into the rivalry, get into the game, then it becomes more and more real. So we're excited about the opportunity. I'm excited to jump into this rivalry and be a part of it.
Jacob.
Zach, for some of these players, you know, Herm talked about how this is a game where emotion can sometimes take over and force guys to make mistakes or play in a way that they maybe wouldn't. How do you prepare your group for a game like that? And kind of what's the mentality going into a game where you need to be very clean and you can't let emotion kind of take over?
I think we take what we've done in the first two games from a learning standpoint, and we emphasize that stuff. You know, it's here's what we do well, here's what we've done well, okay, here's the things that we need to clean up, and here's the focus, fellas. It's this is the next team we play. Whoever it is, this is the next team we play. And so just from a discipline standpoint and a detail standpoint, here's what we've learned. Okay? And now we got to go apply it to this game plan. Okay, doesn't matter who we're playing. Okay? Obviously, it's a rivalry game. We know that, but we got to keep our mind off of that and just focus on this plan moving forward and just us executing from a play one. All right, now we're moving to play two. Just play to play and don't worry about the end result. Right now, the end result, the stats, all that stuff will take care of itself if we do the right things each play.
Last question, Jeff.
What from rivalry games you've been in the past, do you have some stories that stand out to you or games that stand out to you of rivalries you've coached in?
More of the rivalries was when I was playing. I guess Boise, when I was at Boise, there wasn't BYU at Fresno State. There was a lot of rivalries. It wasn't like there was that, you know, in-state rivalry. And then when I was at Eastern Washington, again, we didn't really have an in-state rivalry. There were some teams in the conference that you always kind of, you know, earmarked going into the season. But, you know, when I played at Central Washington, D2 school in Washington, we had Western Washington, and that game every year was a wild one. And I'm sure it doesn't compare to this, you know, here, but you know, we're you know, teams are coming in and marking the fields up and, you know, doing all that, you know, old school stuff. But that was really the main rivalry in my mind for me.
All right, thank you, Coach.
All right, thanks, guys.
Thanks, Coach.